This is the MMA Latest Asia Podcast! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the MMA Latest Asia Podcast. And once again, at every episode, we always have a special guest for you. But before we introduce our guest, I would like to welcome back my partner in crime, MMA Latest Editor, Bramono Lunardi. Bram.
Hi, how are you, Wadi?
Alright, how's it going in Indonesia?
Very good. All excited for one championship in Jakarta.
Alright, that's good. Talking about one championship in Jakarta, we have a guest who's gonna fight, slated to fight, scheduled to fight in 1FC Jakarta, and he's none other than Vincent Latoel. Vincent, how are you tonight? I mean, it's afternoon there in Netherlands, right?
Yes, afternoon over here in the Netherlands, so I'm fine. I'm just finished my workout today, and I have some time for you to do some podcasts now.
Alright, that's awesome. Before we start off the fight, Vincent, brief introduction to the listeners about yourself.
Okay, I'm Vincent Latoel. I'm 37 years old. I'm fighting for 1FC, for one championship now for 3 years. And basically I fight in Jakarta. My next fight is the 14th of January against a very good guy from Filipino. And I'm looking forward to the fight. And I'm now for 16 years in the business, so I'm a veteran of MMA.
Yes, exactly. So many fights in so little time for our guests here. But before we start on with the podcast proper, I would like to tell you the format of the podcast is 3 rounds, just like an MMA fight. It's just that the first round is for 10 minutes, and 10 seconds before every round ends, there will be a clapper, just like you hear it in an MMA fight, and it goes like this. And that's me banging on the table. And after that, we will hear the air horn. So first up, round 1. We're going to talk about Vincent Latoel. You have been there for so long in the fight game, and you have been in one championship probably almost during the start of one FC, and now as a 37-year-old fighter and with so many fights that you have, what's actually next for you? Like, how do you go about in the next 3 to 5 years of your fight career?
That's the main thing what I'm thinking about lately, what I will do after my active fighting career. I don't know, maybe I go into business or something. Back in the days I studied international marketing, so I will think I will do something about that in the future. And I still want to be part of the sport, so I think I will teach my knowledge in MMA, because I'm so long in the game now. So I think I will be doing that after my fighting career. Maybe I will fight for 1 more year. It depends. I will see it from fight to fight.
All right, but how many fights do you have left on your contract?
4.
But
4 fights left.
You can't possibly complete that in 1 year, right?
Yeah, that's possible. If one championship gives me that opportunity to fight 4 fights in 1 year, yeah, I can do it. I can complete it in 1 year.
All right, man. There's not many 37-year-old that would fight 4 in 1 year. I'll push you to Bram now. Bram, anything on Vincent?
Okay, Vincent. What you had a brief stint on? You last fought at featherweight, right? If I recall it correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why go back to lightweight now?
Because it's hard to cut some weight. I lose too many strength when I cut 5-6 kilos. So I want to fight on my normal weight now.
So basically,
so that's why
you're comfortable. That's your comfortable weight because you've been fighting at lightweight most of your career. Is it?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So I feel comfortable if I don't have to drop any kilos.
Mm-hmm. So another thing, just when you first fought, or whenever you fought in Jakarta, I saw this the Satu Darah gang, Maluku. a lot of support in Indonesia from the community, on the Moluccan
From the
community.
all like that. Yeah, when I fight there in Jakarta, I have a lot of support from the Maluku community
Hmm.
because the Maluku, that's my heritage. So I'm born and raised in Holland, but my grandparents are from the province Maluku. So every time I fight there in Jakarta, a lot of people from Maluku will support me.
See,
They see me as like as a hero, and I feel proud to represent them.
All right then.
mhm.
I understand that you have faces quite a number of losses and wins in your career, and this is not like the first time you are fighting on a two fight win streak. The last time it's like every time you have a two fight losing streak, you come back with a win. It's really knee, and then after that you lost to Fodo and Pang, and then you beat Lepon, and now you just lost to Boku and Kelly. Is this like it's just another day in the office for Vincent?
Yeah, for me, it's another day in the office because I'm doing this for a long time, so I know how to deal with this. So I think it's a coincidence that I had a win and two losses, win two losses. So I think if you see the facts, I will win this time again. So, but there's no pattern in it.
Yeah, exactly. But before we move on to the fight, talking back to your last round, like, does age actually change the way you train right now? Do you train as hard as you were probably like 8 years ago?
Yeah, I train different now. 8 years ago, my the style of MMA was different. Nowadays, back in the day, 8 years ago, I only trained MMA,
Mm-hmm.
and I only trained martial arts. Nowadays, I train like martial arts, and I do strength and conditioning training. So there's more balance between my physical trainings, and not only MMA or martial arts, but also like personal training on strength and conditioning and speed and agility training. So that's the difference between now and back in the days.
Yeah, because I remember interviewing Herbert Burns, and he was telling me that a lot of fighters, even Nathan Ng, I spoke to him as well. He was saying that a lot of fighters actually ignore this aspect of strength and conditioning training. Like if you had the chance or had the knowledge to do it back then when you were young, is that the way to train MMA, or you should just do martial arts as how BJ Penn does it and become an enigma?
No, if I can do it again, I will train the way I do nowadays, because I think it's the development of the sport, and a lot of not only MMA but also like soccer and other sports, they do strength and conditioning training. They have specialists on that part of training. So I think that is improving in all kind of physical sports.
I understand. But how about kickboxing? Will you be back there, or will you just stick on
Now
to MMA right now?
I will stick on MMA because I trained kickboxing. I did some fights, but my DNA is MMA. I tried in kickboxing, but a totally different game is it for me, kickboxing. So for me, I stick to MMA.
That's funny because I feel that most of the casual fans in one championship thought you came in as a kickboxer.
Yeah, but I started with MMA, but also like back in the days when I started in the year 2000, like MMA, I trained MMA, but also trained like the grappling and also the kickboxing part. Because I'm living in Holland and the level of kickboxing in Holland is very high comparing to the rest of the world. So it's quite normal to do some kickboxing beside MMA.
I understand. So
Because
so your fight camp has always been in Holland. Like when you signed for one championship, has it always been in Holland, or have you ever tried to fight camp somewhere else?
no, always in Holland. I always do my training in Holland, and lately, for my last fight, I come earlier to Asia
Mm-hmm.
and do my camp over there the last 2 weeks. So not my last fight, but the fight before, I went to Bali and trained there with Marcin Pragnio and also with Anthony Egeland. We did our final preparations in Bali. So most of the time I train in Holland with my trainer Martijn de Jong and also with Marcin Pragnio.
Ah,
Do a
understand.
camp.
I understand that Martin actually is going to fight on the card as well. So are you going to train with him again?
hmm So Martin is my teammate. Martin lives in Holland.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony England is also my teammate, but he is based in Jakarta. So most of the time I go earlier to Jakarta and we train all together.
Ah, all right.
So
All right. So
Does
but
it?
okay,
No,
Bram.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Carry on, Bram.
Does it help you? Does it help your preparation when you come in a bit earlier?
yeah, definitely help my preparation because I can handle the time differences. It helps me getting used to the time and to the climate, to the food. So it really helped me.
All right then. Round one is over. Bram, you have any last questions for Vincent?
Okay. Okay. I'll save it for the third round. I'll save it for the third round
All
on
right
the
then.
fight.
We're gonna save it for the third round. But before this fight is published, we have